The distress signal was ancient, older than most star maps, and encoded in a language no one had used for centuries. That alone told Captain Nina Varela it was a trap. But traps were her specialty. She answered it anyway. The signal led her ship, the Eyrathi, to the haunting ruins of an orbital citadel, drifting silently above a dead, grey planet. Scorch marks scarred its skeletal metal frame, and frozen corpses floated in the void like abandoned prayers. Nina ordered weapons charged, but held her fire. In her experience, monsters rarely announced themselves so plainly. The first to emerge was Kale of the Eyrathi. He was magnificent in a terrifying, primal way. Broad-shouldered, with leonine musculature covered in bronze gold fur. His massive wings were folded tight against his back, like a predator restraining its immense power. His avian features were sharp and regal, his beak curved, his eyes burning amber, with an intelligence far older than Nina's entire species. He was half lion, half bird, and all warrior. His voice, when he spoke, carried both the deep growl of a great cat and the piercing cry of a bird of prey. "We are not your enemy," Kale said. His gaze fixed on Nina, but he is near, before Nina could even process his words. Before she could ask who he was, the temperature on her bridge plummeted. The lights flickered, dimmed, and then the true villain of this story revealed himself. Vorax, the Null Sovereign, didn't just enter a room. He seemed to erase space simply to occupy it. His form was skeletal and constantly shifting, wrapped in a shroud of black energy that devoured light itself. He was a void given shape. It was whispered that once, eons ago, he had been mortal. But now, he was something else entirely, something sustained by a horrifying technology that fed on collapsing stars and the ashes of dying civilizations. He smiled at Nina, a chilling, predatory expression. "Captain," Vorax purred, his voice a low hum that vibrated through the ship's hull. "Still meddling in forces you don't understand." Nina's jaw tightened, her knuckles white as she gripped her command chair. "You wiped out this entire sector." Vorax gave a dismissive wave. "Correction," he said calmly, as if discussing the weather. "I harvested it." At that, Kale's powerful claws flexed, extending from his fingertips with a soft click. "He destroyed my homeworld," Kale growled, "enslaved what remained of my people. The Eyrathi do not bow, but we bleed." Vorax let out a low, humorless laugh that echoed in the cold silence. "You evolved to rule skies and savannas, admirable, but ultimately irrelevant. The battle that followed was pure, unadulterated chaos. Energy weapons tore through the crumbling citadel, lighting up the void with flashes of deadly light. Kale fought like a living myth sprung from ancient legends. His wings beat with the force of a hurricane, and his talons ripped through the constructs of dark energy that Vorax summoned from nothingness. On the Eyrathi, Nina coordinated strikes with surgical precision, her ship dancing on the very edge of annihilation as Vorax bent the laws of gravity itself, trying to crush her vessel like a tin can. But Vorax had planned for resistance. Already he yelled well an engine. This wasn't a device for conquest or building an empire. It was a tool of absolute erasure, capable of collapsing entire star systems into a single point of nothingness. As the engine began to hum with terrifying power, Vorax's voice echoed directly in Nina's mind, a chilling telepathic intrusion. "You fear extinction," he whispered across the psychic channel. "I have embraced it." In that moment, Nina's no rulebook, no Saint Officer Weavid ever prove. She took a desperate, 1 in a billion gamble. She began transferring primary control of the Eyrathi's warp core directly to the Eyrathi Warrior, can your kind interface with human tech. She yelled over the comms, the ship groaning around her. Kale's amber eyes met hers through their respective viewports. There was no hesitation, only fierce resolve. We adapt or we die, and in that moment, something incredible happened. Human defiance and Eyrathi ferocity combined, rewriting the definition of impossible. Kale, with his ancient instincts and preternatural senses, became one with the ship's systems. He took the raw, untamed power of the Astria's core and redirected it, funneling every last drop of energy straight into the heart of the Oblivion engine, deliberately overloading it. As the Citadel began to tear itself apart, alarms screaming a symphony of doom, Nina stayed behind. She manually locked the failsafes, ensuring the overload would be catastrophic and contained. Vorax appeared before her one last time, his form flickering wildly. He screamed not in pain, but in pure, unadulterated rage. "You cannot kill me." Nina looked him dead in the void, where his eyes should have been. "I don't need to." The explosion didn't destroy Vorax, it did something far worse. It scattered him, fracturing his malevolent essence across the dead spaces between stars. Imprismabelt Fornchos, unabito act. A fate worse than death, for a being who craved control above all else. As the Astria escaped the blast radius just in the nick of time, Kale carried an exhausted but alive Nina from the burning bridge to safety. When it was all over, the stars outside burned steady once more, the threat of the Oblivion engine gone. In the quiet aftermath, the magnificent Eyrathi Warbringer knelt before her. It wasn't an act of submission, but one of profound respect, the deepest honor his warrior culture could bestow. "The Eyrathi owe you a life debt," Kale said, his voice heavy with meaning. "And a war." Nina exhaled slowly, the weight of the last few hours settling on her. She stared out at the endless, beautiful dark beyond the viewport. "Good," she said, a new hardness in her voice. "Because monsters like Vorax don't stay buried forever, somewhere in the void." The scattered, waiting fragments of the null sovereign drifted, patient and eternal. And on the bridge of the Astria, Captain Nina Varela had just become something far more dangerous than a soldier. She had become a symbol. And her watch had just begun.